Anyone want to say hello?
Hello,
Hi, Dr. Simput. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you too, Dr Hashim?
Very good. Yes, I did get your message about the members group. So
Yeah.
the members group, because so we answer questions. I answer questions on there. But
Okay.
obviously you can't open it to everyone because then you would never get any work done. You'd just be answering questions all day. So I only do provide that for the members.
All right.
But yeah, it's definitely worth the investment. Yeah, definitely you
Mm-hmm.
should come join us in the members group.
Okay. I'll
Um,
try and do that. Mm.
yes.
Yeah.
Right, I'll share my screen. If somebody, actually, that would be really useful if one person can turn their camera on, because I really struggle to talk to a screen. If I can just see like one face, that would be really handy. It's very unnatural, isn't it? It's kind of jarring when you're just kind of like speaking to people and
Hi.
hello.
Hello.
Yes, thanks for that, Dr. Sherina.
Yep.
It's kind of strange, talking to a computer screen. It's just like a very unnatural feeling. So when you can see someone's face, that's good. So I'll share the screen. Yes. Okay. Hopefully, you didn't get a sneak peek of the case. So yeah, we're going to do problem colleague today, problematic colleagues,
Mhm.
right? So, when you do a lot of these PLAB 2 cases, a lot of the time they're testing your knowledge of guidance, well, particularly in management, how you assess and manage patients and the go-to place to be reading your references for reading in a lot of those cases, because big significant proportion of GP cases. So your nice CKS is your go-to reading material for those for GPs, right? And patient.info. But when you've got these ethical scenarios, that's not the correct source of information. Correct source of information is good medical practice. GMC is good medical practice. Who, by the way, are the people that you're sitting the exam for, right? They're the ones that are assessing you.
Yep.
And so I'm very surprised when I do coaching sessions, people they don't have good knowledge of GMC's good medical practice. They haven't read it. It's going to be full of loads of fluff. It's going to be really advanced level of language that I won't understand. No, it's very to the point, very concise notes. So I would definitely recommend reading this 30-page handbook, Good Medical Practice. Now, that's not everything, obviously, because they have more detailed guidance as well. Yeah. But that's certainly your base. Yeah. You be familiar with the 4 domains, and the different components, because this is what they're assessing you on in these problem colleague cases, right? So you need to make sure you show them that you are familiar with them. You recognize the key issues of the task, because in any station, you need to just do 2 things. You need to recognize what the key issues are in a task, and you need to manage them, right? And there's usually 3 to 5 key issues that you need to spot and show that you recognize them, and then you need to manage them. You need to address them appropriately. That could be through an explanation. Maybe they have concerned about something. You need to explain something. Maybe they have a misguided idea or belief about something, and so you need to correct that.
Mhm.
So that might be an issue that you've identified in your data gathering that you need to manage. So it's not just treatment and stuff like that, or people with symptoms or condition. Yeah. And so here there are certain issues in terms of the behavior of your colleagues. So they're primarily in 3 different areas, which are kind of represented by these 3 images. So you've got this guy here. He's got a bottle of he's got a pint of
Alcohol.
beer in his hand. What looks like a pint of beer, I think.
Yeah.
Certainly an alcoholic drink of some sort. And he's got a cigarette and he's performing some surgery, right? He's performing a
Mhm.
procedure. So obviously, this is substance misuse, right? This
Yep.
guy here who's inappropriately touching
Yep.
what looks like one of his patients. And then social media. Yeah. So these are the 3 areas I want you to read up on in GMC's good medical practice. Now, social media has its own detailed guidance, right? As well as it mentions it briefly in the main good medical practice. There is detailed guidance called Doctors' Use of Social Media. So read that as well. It's not very long either. Make sure you read these, because what happens in these cases is that people come in and they think they just need to have a patient, I'm going to be a natural doctor, just have a conversation with the patient. And then they finish. They're sat in silence for 4 minutes because they've got no knowledge. So you have C-SPIES Protocol, which I've adapted from SPIES Protocol, which is, it's a known interview technique. It's a common question, when you're doing medical interviews for jobs and stuff, is they'll ask you about these kind of problematic scenarios, right? So you'll find these very useful when you go for jobs as well. And I've adapted it slightly to include C at the beginning, and I've adapted P, because usually P is just patient safety, but I've also included professionalism because, like we said, with these cases that are assessed in PLAB 2, they assess, some of them are patient safety issues, and some of them are professional issues, and some of them are both. If they're a patient safety issue, they're going to be a professionalism issue as well. They go hand in hand, right? And so what we need to do is we need to say that we've spot this is, it's unprofessional for him to do this. The reasons being, as doctors, we are responsible for X, Y, Z, and you list, and this is the part in your consultations or in your role play scenarios that you need to be reading off what you've learned from GMC's good medical practice. And that's the area, because that's lacking, that knowledge is lacking in people because they're not reading it, and they're entering a GMC exam. They've not read the GMC handbook, which is only 30 pages long. And so for that reason, they finish too late. They don't know what to say. They run out of things to say. Yeah. So that's the first step, is your knowledge here. People usually, the biggest mistake people make in this case is they are lacking knowledge. Yeah. In these cases, always. So you need to read the 30 pages, and doctors use social media, and there's some other ones, detailed guidance ones as well, like raising concerns about patient safety. That one's probably worth reading as well. Yeah, so we're going to do one of these cases today. Their favorites in the exam are social media misuse and patient safety. And lateness. Oh, let's see, there's comments here. Yes, hi guys. Some people in the comments saying hello. Okay. All right, we'll get started. Okay, so Dr. Sherina, she's very brave. Guys, don't be harsh on her, okay? She's volunteered to do the case. She was the first person that volunteered. There were lots of people after her, but they were too late. You were the most keen. So you got
Yeah.
But guys, if you want to do the next one, you need to let us know. It's first come, first serve, because obviously you have to choose the person who chooses first. So we're going to do one with Dr. Luna. Dr. Luna is on night shifts at the moment. So she couldn't do one until 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks today on a Wednesday. So I thought I would just do an impromptu one in between, just so that we don't wait too long to do the next session. So we keep the kind of momentum going with these sessions, right? So it's just me today, not Dr. Luna, but hopefully she'll be in the next one.
Begin.
Hello, James. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So how's the rotation going?
Yeah, it's going good. Yeah.
Yeah. How's life otherwise?
Yeah, that's good.
All
What up
right.
to?
So I understand you wanted to talk to me about something. It was regarding another doctor that he has been writing about patients on X. So what's
Yes.
it about?
Yeah, I was just browsing through, X, formerly known as Twitter, and
Yeah.
just came across this post Dr. Gerald had made. Yes, and in that post he said that one of the patients on this ward was smelly.
Oh.
So yeah, made me feel a bit uncomfortable. I wasn't really sure how to respond to it. So I just thought I'd ask to have a chat with you about it, see what you think.
Yeah, no, you did the right thing. It's completely unacceptable. Wow. So, is this the first time you have noticed something like this, or has this been ongoing?
As far as I'm aware, it's the first post I've recognized from him. Yeah, it's
Okay,
just
well,
one thing. Yeah.
all right, James. First and foremost, let me just assure you that whatever you share with me will be kept it will be kept confidential, so you don't need to worry about it. Yeah, you can share with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So tell me more about this post. What was it like? What did it say?
Yes, it was just referring to David, one of the patients on the ward who's been very unwell. And
Mhm.
yeah, he was just saying that, you know, this patient with this condition was really smelly on the ward.
Okay, wow. All
I think he
right.
was trying to be kind of funny.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Well, that's really unacceptable for a doctor. Yeah. I think that's the first time I have come across something like that. So, all right. What I think is that he has crossed a boundary, like that's a totally unacceptable behavior from a doctor. Yeah. Okay. So, well, we as doctors, we are supposed to keep the patient's dignity foremost. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And when patients are coming to the hospital, they are expecting the doctors to keep to respect them and keep their dignity foremost. And what this doctor did was exactly the opposite of that. Okay, so how's Dr. Gerald's behavior otherwise with the patients? Have you seen him with patients? How is he otherwise?
Yes, he's got excellent bedside manner. He's generally very
Mm-hmm.
polite, very considerate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's just that maybe it was unintentional that what he did. Yeah. Okay. All right.
That
So
could be.
yeah. All right. So did he post anything, any other details about the patient?
I don't think so. Like what?
Like, could the patient be recognized by the post? Could someone recognize them maybe if the patient themselves saw the post, or if some of their relatives saw the post? Could they be recognized?
Yes, well, he didn't mention any names.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think he did mention the name of his condition,
Uh-huh.
and the ward, and you know, so and he's been being one of his patients. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
quite reasonable to suggest that, you know, you could identify who it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, that's something it can taint the not just the doctor's image, but the image of the hospital as well, and of the whole profession actually, because our patients don't expect this kind of behavior from us, yeah? Okay, so, well, I think you should take him aside and maybe talk to him about it. What I would do is I would suggest him, I would actually advise him to go and delete any kind of comments that he has made, even formerly, not just this one, about the patients. And I think he should maybe change his approach towards the use of social media, especially regarding his professional conduct. He shouldn't be using the social media platforms to write about patients or to discuss any of his cases, because that's clearly a breach of confidentiality. I would also advise him to review the privacy settings of his social media accounts, because you see, in this age, anything can go viral. Like screenshots can be taken and they can be shared. And if one of the relatives of the patient, if they see it, they can file a complaint against him. It can be escalated to maybe his GMC registration getting jeopardized. Well, but I think right now what he should do is just delete the post and refrain from doing anything in the future, such as this. Okay.
Mhm. So you
Right.
mentioned
Two
about social
minutes
media and stuff.
remaining.
So, you know, when I tell him to review the privacy settings and delete
Mhm.
the, you know, the comments and stuff, anything
Yeah.
else that we're going to tell him or advise him
Yeah,
to
I
do?
think you should also tell him to maybe go on GMC and read again the guidelines according to how doctors should use the social media. Yeah. And
Mhm.
also about maintaining patients' dignity and how should
Yes.
respect them. There's a lot of material written. Maybe he should go and review it once more. And do you need any help talking to him? Or are you okay to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit concerned that, about it affecting my relationship with Dr. Gerald. I've got a good relationship
Oh,
with at the
don't
moment.
worry, don't worry. I think incidents like that are mostly unintentional. I think he would actually appreciate that you're looking out for him. And because if he continues doing this and someone reports against him, that can get escalated to maybe his clinical supervisor, and he might get in trouble. So even if he does think that you did wrong, I think in the future, in the long run, he will appreciate you for looking out for him. I think,
Yes, I
yeah.
think so. But I mean, do we need to, can we just handle this ourselves, or do we need to, like
I think for
escalate
now we
at this
can,
stage?
but if he does keep repeating this behavior, then we might have to involve the seniors. For now, if it's just his first time posting something, for now, I think we can just talk to him, ask him to change his behavior, and just delete all the comments or all the posts that he has made. For now, I don't think we need to involve the seniors, but if he does keep repeating the same behavior, then definitely we have to go and talk to the consultant or
To
anyone
move
safe.
on to the next station.
That's
Okay.
very good.
Okay.
How was
Oh,
that?
okay. So when the station starts, the structure, it all just goes out of the window.
Oh, yes, yeah, yeah.
I was just trying to remember. Okay, see, confidentiality. Then okay, what's next?
Yeah, I mean, with structure, I wouldn't worry too much about structure. Obviously,
Mhm.
we include all of the structures there for you guys. But that's just so that you have everything there if you need it. But really, because here's the thing, right? And this is a really big problem with PLAB 2 doctors is that they are too rigid. Yeah, they think that they need to follow a structure all the time.
Mhm.
Structure is something I think that you should just pepper in every now and then. So just you need to reverse it. So basically, what most PLAB 2 doctors are doing is they have a really rigid structure, and then occasionally they put in some natural conversation. If they, eventually they'll go outside of their head just briefly in a brief moments and have some natural conversation. But actually, it should be the other way around. It should be a natural conversation, but then you pepper in the structures that you've learned. It's not a focal point of your consultation. Okay, the focal point is you're the human being that you're speaking to next to you. This is very
Yeah.
important. They don't like these unnatural, overly scripted, rigid doctors in PLAB 2. It's too often, people are being trained in this way, and it's not good. Jumping to close questions too soon, not picking up on patient cues because they're not present in the consultation. So it's always good to that's number one. That you can't compromise that. Structure comes later. So yeah, in terms of your structure, data gathering was a bit thin, right? So that's the area where you jumped into explaining, into managing a bit too soon.
Yeah.
We could have collected a bit more information, got a bit more details. Follow up your open questions with some focused closed questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, did he mention his name?
Yeah.
What else did he say? And you asked a few, but there were a few that I think you could have asked, what kind of engagement was there on this post?
Yeah.
Did it have any likes, any
Yeah. How many
comments?
likes? Yep. That's
Yeah.
important.
Where did he post it? Was it publicly accessible or, is it closed off only to only follow his followers?
Yeah.
Um, what else? What exactly did he say? I would want to clarify what condition does he have? Like, because if it's, diabetes or if he has, which is a common condition, compared to, let's think of a rare condition. What's very rare? But basically, a rare condition that they could be identified with, right? But there's only
Yeah.
like two people in the town with that condition, then that's obviously more significant, isn't it? So I would have followed up. So always, open question, which is good. So you asked me the open questions. I volunteered a bit of information, but now this is your chance to show your understanding in data gathering. How do we show our understanding in data gathering through our selection of questions, right? So you can tell, when you ask those specific questions that you're demonstrating to the examiner, I understand the relevance of this in this case, yeah?
Mhm.
And then, I would jump into explaining that this is unprofessional and also it is putting at risk like the patient's dignity, which is a big key issue that people forget in this they just focus on confidentiality in this case. and they overlook the other important issue, which is not being compassionate towards your patients, like, so basically neglecting the patient's dignity and abusing the trust as well. So that's another issue that we'll talk about. So yeah, that was nice. So this is the general approach I like to use, which, is slightly adapted for PLAB 2, so that it covers you for all the cases that you come across. So confidentiality, it's not like confidentiality when you're talking to a patient, because we're talking to a colleague here. So it's going to be a bit more informal, right? So you can tell me anything in confidence. Yeah, that's enough. Or you can tell me anything, James. Yeah. So, just something like that, just to demonstrate to the examiners, to GMC, that we are colleagues who people can come to, and that we're very friendly and approachable people who people can come to with problems. Because that's one of the things they're assessing us on, isn't it? So yeah, that's just something I like to get in there at some point at the beginning. And then seek information. So this is where we were lacking a little bit. So, like sometimes, when you start freezing, you always need to have a plan for those moments. What can I do in my data gathering if I freeze? Oh, I can do a NICE assessment, because it's a very generic thing that you can kind of apply to anything, right? So NICE assessment might have been good here, because we don't just do ICE assessment as a patient. ICE assessment is ideas, concerns, expectations. Well, they're just basic psychological kind of needs. When someone's approaching a situation, they'll have certain concerns or ideas, expectations. It can be applicable to anything. So, you can ask ICE here. That's just a summary, just a general approach for these these kind of consultations. Again, don't worry about following everything to the T. Just kind of pepper it in here and there. Don't compromise on being a natural doctor. So yeah, ICE, that's one thing that is a nice go-to. I often find, like, if I'm freezing or something, I can't think, I've lost my train of thought, just go back to ICE as a default. Also summarizing is good as well in those kind of instances. Sometimes, especially if it's a bit later on in the consultation, or if you need a bit more time to gather your thoughts, because you're like maybe thinking of the diagnosis. Yeah, so a few questions about the patient, a few questions about Dr. Gerald, and a few questions about James and what he's done so far. Yeah, so just a few basic questions, and then this is the bit where it's too thin for most people, and it's because this is the bit where we need to show our knowledge of GMC's good medical practice, right? So make sure you read it. Yeah. And in particular, also read the more detailed guidance on social media and on patient safety, those two, and also on breach of professional boundaries. Those three are the main ones, I would say, that you should read, so that you are well equipped with the knowledge, so that you can explain why it's unprofessional and inappropriate for him to do this. So thank you for bringing this to my attention, James. It is unprofessional, inappropriate to make posts like this about patients on Twitter. As doctors, we have, and this is obviously all taken from GCSE's good medical practice. As doctors, we have a responsibility to maintain public confidence in ourselves, to maintain public confidence in the profession, and to take action against anything that undermines public confidence in the profession. And by making this post, he is undermining the public's perception and public confidence in us as a profession. So, this is wrong for him to have done that. And then there's two chapters here, really, or two issues. We're going to show that we identify what the issues are. One is of patient dignity, because there's another case whereby he also makes a post about some seniors. So with that one, that is also patient confidentiality issue, yeah. But there's a secondary issue there of your partnerships with colleagues. Yeah, forming good relationships with colleagues. There's a chapter on that in the good medical practice. So read that, because then that you can draw upon that knowledge and regurgitate it here in your PE section in C-SPIES. Yeah, but for this one, it's more patient dignity that's being undermined. Yeah. And GMC's good medical practice, what does it say about two things that require prompt action? Anything that compromises patient safety and anything that compromises patient dignity. These are big, big no-nos that require prompt action. Yeah. So that's one of them. So treating patients politely and considerately. In establishing and maintaining partnerships with patients, we must be polite and considerate, and we must treat patients as individuals and respect their dignity and privacy. We must uphold patients' dignity and treat them with kindness, respect, and compassion. We should avoid any behaviors that exploit a patient's vulnerability or are likely to cause them distress. It is not appropriate to make gratuitous, unsubstantiated, or unsustainable comments about individuals online, any individuals, yeah? We must be aware of how our behavior may influence others within and outside the team, yeah? So it's a bad culture you're generating, especially in a position of authority as a doctor. when communicating public, so like other nurses and other healthcare assistants, they'll be looking at that, be like, oh, that's fine, I can do that too. He didn't. Dr. Gerald did it.
Yeah.
So, the culture in the hospital is important as well. When communicate, so the secondary issue, right? So this is the one most people get. They usually, in this case, they miss this issue, which is important, and they know this one. Yeah, so clearly, he's made a post on Twitter about a patient saying there's smelly, and he mentioned the condition. He may or may not mention the condition, regardless, it's inappropriate, right? So what should we say? When communicating publicly online as doctors, we're expected to take steps to ensure patients' right to privacy and confidentiality is maintained. Although individual pieces of information may not breach confidentiality on their own, the sum of the published information online could be enough to identify a patient or someone close to them. We must not use publicly accessible social media to discuss individual patients or their care with those patients or anyone else. If a post was made privately, he needs to remember, by the way, privately is not just privacy settings and Facebook or Twitter, where only followers can access it. Even an instant message is, because the internet is inherently insecure, yeah, it's vulnerable to being hacked. You're trusting a third party organization. And that's why, you use the internet. Foundation Trust use the internet, right? So it's a bit more secure than, internet communication. So, healthcare professionals will have their own email addresses. If the post was made privately, he needs to remember that when using social media, communications may become more widely available, even if the posts were only intended to be accessible to friends or family. Online or one individual as a private message, because again, that can also be screen captured and distributed publicly. Yeah. We've all come across people who've thought you've seen it in the news, they thought they were in a private conversation with someone screen grabbed it, and then they got in trouble, right? So it's not secure, clearly, on any communications online. Online information can instantly and easily be accessed by the general public, for example, by being shared or screen captured. So this needs to, we need to explain this in detail. What are the issues? Why is this wrong? And then we're going to take action, right? So initiative, what are we going to do as junior doctors? What can we do, first of all? So remember we said about patient dignity, that requires prompt action. So in this case, this post needs to be, needs to find it, and he needs to delete that post straight away. Probably needs to apologize as well, because, if we got round to the patient, that's going to undermine public confidence. Whereas if it comes from him himself, then it's better. There is an argument for escalation. Generally, any patient safety issue needs to be escalated without question. There is an argument to escalate this one as well to the seniors consultant, for example. I think I personally would escalate to the consultant, not to GMC. Basically, patient safety issues, any of those, they need to be escalated to the senior and to GMC. Yeah, if someone's drinking on the wards, if someone's taking cocaine, there's no question about that. Yeah, this is a doctor who's in a position of trust, right? And then secondly, if it's one of these where it's undermining patient dignity, I think you should involve the senior at least. You don't need to talk about GMC at that stage. The other ones, I don't think you need to escalate. They can be just managed. You can manage them on your own with your own initiative, right? And so with these initiatives, the idea behind this is, patient safety is at risk, patient dignity is compromised. We need to take action straight away in order to stop that. Yeah, to put a stop to that. So in this case, he needs to delete the messages, possibly speak to the family and apologize. Yeah, and then you could advise him on some certain things, review his privacy settings, but at the same time still be aware that any information that while it's in a private setting can be made publicly accessible. Advise him. So guys, when you advise them to read a certain, like GMC's good medical practice, yeah, definitely mention that. But mention which of the 4 domains it is that's relevant or applicable to this scenario. So domain 4, trust and professionalism, definitely, right? That will be one. Also domain 2 as well are relevant here. So you can advise him to reread or revise, yeah, those chapters in GMC's good medical practice, as well as the more detailed guidance on doctors' use of social media. Yeah, that's another one. Any others at all? Yes, acting with honesty and integrity. Yeah, and also, yeah, the local policy as well. They can find it on the internet, the social media use policy. So yeah, they're good ones that you can always include for these cases. But generally, the point is that I want you to be specific. Yeah. And always, you know how we said that you have a responsibility to take action against anything that undermines patient dignity or patient safety. So when he asks you, can you talk to him for me? It's better really if it comes from him as well. You can accompany him perhaps, or provide some support and join him. But it's good practice for him to get, especially because we're in a GMC exam and we're trying to show that we like to take action against things. So you can encourage him to speak to him as well, because that's in line with the guidance, isn't it? To take action against anything that undermines public confidence in the profession. Yeah, and then escalation. So 2 areas for escalation: seniors, GMC, right? And so GMC escalation I would reserve for assistant failures, but by that time, the senior should be involved anyway. Otherwise, it's just you can use your own initiative and handle it yourself. In some of the more benign cases, you could perhaps ask for some advice for seniors, but I don't think it's essential. It's your judgment, okay, according to the case, right? And then support, which again, we want to demonstrate, because we're in a GMC exam, that we are doctors who are very friendly, who anyone can come to us for help and support. So that's a good way to do that. You can offer your contact details, work number, or whatever, or anything else. If they wanted to talk to you about anything at any moment, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Yeah, very good. So what did I score you in this one?
No, did I pass?
You did pass. Yes, you did pass. Your management saved you. Yes. Yeah. So 2 for data gathering, 3 for management, 3 for IPS.
That's
Is what I would have scored you.
okay.
8, which is a guaranteed pass, really. 7 is usually a guaranteed pass. It's good, comfortable pass.
So I should
yeah,
work
you've got.
more on my data gathering.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it's a third of your marks. So we should allocate some time, because here's the thing, right? A lot of people, obviously, data gathering is more of a focal point in some cases, some stations, than it is in others. We don't allocate equal time according to the marks, for sure.
Yeah.
But you want to give a more as personalized a management plan and explanation as possible. And the way to do that is by collecting information, right?
Yeah.
You collect details. And so the more detail you have, the more detail you manage, right? Makes sense. So, if you don't collect the detail, then your management is going to be limited. It will have a knock-on effect on your management as well. So you remember, management always starts with data gathering, always. People don't see them as separate. They think, because they've got a one-size-fits-all management plan in their head for any condition, for example. They're like, if it's STEMI, I'll manage them this way. If it's this. And so they don't understand the importance of data gathering and collecting the details. But you need to do that if you want patient-centered care. And in this case, you need to do that so you can give a more personalized way of approaching this kind of situation, more specific, which will get you the more marks. So yeah, shall we have a look at good medical practice? Let's have a look at it. Guys, you must, before you enter your GMC exam, you must read this, okay? It's their handbook. It's only 30 pages. And the first few pages are like contents, and the last few pages are like footnotes and in an index, okay? So it's very little. It takes, it will take you 1 hour to read it. So yeah, so let's look at the 4 domains. So knowledge, skills, and development. So that one, not really applicable to this case. Patients, partnership, and communication. This one is. Colleagues, culture, and safety. This one is. And trust and professionalism. This one is as well. Yeah, so these are the 4 domains, okay? So I want you to know these really well, especially this page. You can just print this off and just post it on your wall. Lots of people have this actually in their offices. But yeah, like knowledge, skills, development, that's domain 1. Patients, partnerships, and communication. Colleagues, culture, and safety. Trust and professionalism. Yes, here we go. Right, so right at the beginning of domain 2, what does it say? You must recognize and respect every patient's dignity and right to privacy. Yeah, so this post goes against that, doesn't it? Yes, treating patients with kindness, courtesy, and respect. So this all goes against it. Communicating sensitively and considerately. Yeah, anyway, definitely, guys, we should, be familiar with this. And also, not just this is not enough, okay? You need to read specifically doctors' use of social media. So if you go, but this is your foundation, this is your base, right? So if you go to, for example, where's social media? So they give you like a few bits of basic information, but you should also read their detailed guidance on using social media as a medical professional. Yeah, that one is high yield for this exam, definitely, because they love testing social media. It's their favorite. Patient safety as well, and professional boundaries. Yeah, so let's go through the cases that come in PLAB 2. Yes. Right. So it can either be talking to a colleague where you're talking to the patient, right? Who had a relationship with her counselor. And so you need to do a bit of digging, find out why she wants to change her counselor. Is it because she doesn't think he's competent, or, why? And then you need to start extracting that information from her. So good, we talked about this last week, depersonalization. Sometimes, some people, when they're in doctor-patient relationships, sometimes boundaries can get a bit mixed and can be a bit of a gray area. And sometimes people can infringe on those boundaries that you would usually expect in a doctor-patient relationship. Just wondering if anything like that's happened at all between you and, Dr. Smith. Yeah, and then she can disclose that, and then from there you can use the C-SPIES, the same structure, same approach. So just to let you know, you can tell me anything in confidence. That's still applicable. You collect the information, and then ask more general questions, open questions. Ask open questions, and then follow up with some closed questions. Extract that information. Get all the details about what's been going on. So that's your the S. And then you can explain why it's unprofessional, because it's a breach of professional boundaries. Yeah. And then you can just regurgitate at that point that chapter in GMC's Good Medical Practice, which you'll find in Domain 4, Trust and Professionalism. And then you propose what you're going to do. So you should refer her to a new counsellor, and you need to sort out this other issue about this guy who's having relationships with his patients. So you need to report him, basically. And a good way to start is seniors. Question is, do you escalate? Yeah, breach of professional boundaries probably is worth escalating, but certainly at least senior, and then you can offer some support to her, yeah, as well. So yeah, it's the same approach, social media. So definitely do be prepared for those. Do you recognize what the key issues are in the task? So today we talked about the patient dignity as being one issue, compromising that. And we talked about confidentiality potentially being a secondary issue as well. But the big one is patient dignity, actually. Yeah. What do most people do? They do it the other way around. This one, yes, working collaboratively with colleagues. That's a chapter in GMC's Good Medical Practice. So you should learn that. And also confidentiality as well. Yeah. This one, adding patients and friends, again, that's the same as here, breach of professional boundaries. Yeah. And, yeah, it's mostly that one. And doctors use social media. So you should, signpost to that detailed guidance by the GMC as well. This one, again, is patient confidentiality and also patient dignity. So very similar to this one, actually. A vulnerable person who's ill, who's sick, and, you're mocking and stuff. So this is, again, exploiting. This is exploitative to talk about this, and you're undermining patient trust in you as the doctor. In this one, you want to be a bit more of a guide. So I want you to mentor them a little bit more, try to dig deep into what's happening. So, advise them a little bit on that, better sleep hygiene methods and stuff like that. And, explain to him the importance of being professional on time and stuff like that. These ones, they would be domain 1. Yeah. About working collaboratively with patients in terms of continuity of care, yeah, these kind of things. Making sure that you're addressing patients' needs and priorities. Okay, that's where in domain 1. So I would recommend reading that chapter there for these cases here. Right, I've almost forgot. This one's really important, right? So these ones, they all need to be escalated. You need to take initiative. You need to get them stop seeing patients. You need to review everything they've done so far, and you need to document everything, and you need to escalate to the seniors. There's a doctor that's drinking on the wards. You have a responsibility to do that.
We do that by ourselves, or the seniors will do it?
I would say I'm going to speak to the senior, and it may be that we will also have to notify the GMC as well. It's very likely that we will. That we are you know, we have a responsibility to do that. Yeah, so that's problem colleagues, guys. So C-SPIES. C, you can tell me anything in confidence. S, you know, take me through what happened. Yeah, open questions. Follow up with closed questions to demonstrate relevance to the examiner, and also to allow you to give a more personalized explanations and management plans later, where you can link your data gathering to your management. You mentioned this. Well, I think this is very unprofessional that he, even though he did this, he thinks blah, blah, blah. So you just link it. So initiative, what you need to do, what you can do yourself. So, you know, where these ones where they're compromising patient dignity or patient safety, you need to take action straight away. You need to do something straight away. So whether it's delete the post and also, you know, make sure they're not seeing patients so they don't pose any further risks, and also review anything they've done so far, who they've seen whilst they've been potentially under the influence of substances. Oh, sorry, previous to that, I missed out P. You should explain before you take the initiative. You should explain this is unprofessional and or a risk to patient safety because of X, Y, Z, and list all the different issues you've identified and explain them using GMC's good medical practice. Then talk about what you're going to do with the initiative, right? What steps you can do as a junior, and then S plus or minus escalation, right? So escalation to 2 levels, the seniors and to the GMC. For patient safety risks, you have to escalate. For others, it's a bit more of a grey area, right? But certainly a senior should be involved in, you know, some of the more serious ones. And then S, you know, just reiterate that you're here, you know, if they want to talk to you about anything. Yeah, very straightforward, these cases. They do like them in the exam. Yeah, so I scored you 233. So we explained why with the data gathering, you know, we could have got a bit more information about the history. To identify kind of the level of exposure to the public in terms of engagement, in terms of likes, in terms of comments, what was said. Ideas concern for these cases, ICE is always good. If you're struggling with data gathering, which a lot of people struggle to think of what to ask, ideas, concerns, expectations is always good. Engagement was very good, yeah. Yeah, you addressed both. You identified both of the primary issues in this task, and you explained why, and you took appropriate action. So I scored you 3 for that. How would you have scored 4? Probably just by doing a more detailed data gathering, and then linking it to your management to give a more detailed management plan. That's probably what would have scored you 4. But generally, with what you had, you did as good as you could. And then IPS 3 as well. Yeah, very good. You always want to be aiming for 3 in each domain. 3, 3, 3. That's what you should do. If you got 2, you didn't do good enough, basically. You need to get 3s. It's what you should aim for. Yep, you identified the issues. Time was fine. Language is good. Yeah. Yeah, rapport's good. You asked me how I'm doing. People are often, they're a bit confused as to how to approach these cases where it's a colleague that you already know, right?
Yeah.
It's a colleague you already know who's on your ward. So don't pretend that you don't know who they are, guys, if it's someone on your ward. Yeah. Yeah. James Smith is a doctor working with you on the ward. Right. So if you don't know who he is, that's not good. So you don't need to do these identity checks and stuff like that. Okay. Just keep it informal. Yeah. For all of these cases. Unless it's, you know, a colleague that you don't know. But that'll be made clear in the task. Yeah. So that's problematic colleagues, guys. Make sure you can do a patient safety one. Make sure you can do a professionalism one. And you'll be good. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
That's
It
good.
was like, yeah, I have my exam on like the 31st of October, so this was
Okay.
an eye-opener what I should be working on.
Yes, no, it's good. Yeah, how's everything going otherwise, apart from popping colleagues? Is it going okay?
Yeah, I think I'll manage to finish. Hopefully. Yeah, and like it's a whatever is in the new cases one, it's quite detailed actually. So even if you miss some, you still will remember. the important points. So yeah, hopefully
Yes,
that will be a
just looking
savior.
at people's comments, people, what they tend to do is they just, rather than seeing what's in front of them, they choose what they've read or about a particular case, and they just superimpose that onto it and just force it on there. You need to actually accurately manage patients according to what you see in front of you. So open your eyes. Yeah, don't just say what you've read or what you've
Yeah,
heard before. Adapt to the situation that's in front of you, right? And the same
yeah,
goes with a good example of that is Eve Protocol. You know, when you're
Ne?
picking up on a patient queue,
yeah,
often you might have
Sen
expected
motion.
them to react a certain way.
I'm
And so what people will often do,
really.
let's just mute this
I
person.
said motion.
Yeah, so what tends to happen is that people, because they had come in with a preconceived idea of the case, and then so they expected a certain reaction or emotion in the patient, but that might not be
yeah,
the cue that you get in the exam. So do make sure that you open your eyes and you pick up on the actual emotion that you see, and then address that, not what you've read or what you expected to see or what you wanted to see. Okay, so that's one thing. But yeah, so your exam's in a couple. Is it in a couple of weeks? Is it?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't. This isn't an exam that you're gonna, especially in the late stages, be stressing yourself out, staying up until Fajr, until 5 o'clock in the morning. Some people, some people do this. They stay up till 5. They wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, they wake up at 5 and they use up all their energy studying last minute cramming before their exam that's at 11 o'clock. And then they go to this exam, which is 3 hours long, or it's very long anyway, something like that. That's what it
yeah,
felt like anyway when I sat it. And it's quite tiring. So you need to be fresh, guys. So your last minute cramming, you know, you talk about benefits and risks when you're counseling patients, don't you? Well, benefits and risks, well, a few hours of cramming the day on the day of the exam is probably the risks of it stressing me out, making me tired, probably going to outweigh the benefits of a little bit extra knowledge. No. So, you know, be sensible in terms of eating well, sleeping well, resting before your exam. Don't, you know, generally, the night before the exam, after 6 o'clock, I like to switch off, throw my books away, watch a movie or something, right? Forget about it.
you have something, you have a letter what to you have told us to read it before your exam, so yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll talk
feel
about that
everything you
then.
take.
Yes.
Yeah, pick our
Yes.
outfit and
Yeah. Yeah. You
just
know, don't go all
relax the day
disheveled
before.
with a black eye and, you know, tired because you're tired, and, you know, look presentable, look clean, shave, perhaps, or, you know, clean your face or whatever. That's always good, isn't it? And and don't worry too much about, don't put too much emphasis on knowledge. Knowledge is important, of course, but this is not a cramming exam. That's not going to help you for sure.
Yeah,
It's more about having approached or, you know, done each consultation type and being familiar with the kind of the main key concepts and stuff like that. So we are wrapping up, but if anyone's got any comments or questions, anything they want to ask, I've got the Smart Revision Planner here open. So if there's anything that you want to discuss, we can go into one or two topics. So if for those that aren't familiar with this planner, it basically takes you, it's like an A to Z, you know, from start to finish. So if you are struggling, you know, in terms of how to prepare for this exam, I would definitely highly recommend you getting this planner. You can start from here. It gives you kind of explains to you what you need to do, and then you can just work your way through, and it will link you to any relevant notes that you need. It's very, very comprehensive, well structured. Because in my mind, I think that when you're approaching an OSCE-based exam, clarity of mind is very important because that translates as confidence and good performance in the exam. Whereas if you're a bit confused because everything's disorganized, that's not good. So that was my aim with this planner, because I originally created this for myself, right? For having clarity of mind as you approach stations, you want to have a clear, confident, like attitude as you're entering, I think. I remember the question about when I got this in my previous exam, if we will delete the post, why I will apologize. Because if you've deleted the post, you haven't fully solved the problem yet, because there's been engagement on the post and there is a chance that it could have got back to the family, or it could have got back to the patient or something. So I think it might be worth, in addition to that, also taking the initiative to apologise to the family about the advising him to apologise. Does that make sense? Because it could have been spread and got to him. So it's better that you take the initiative than them finding out through alternative routes.
So for the purpose of the exam, we should advise them to apologize.
I personally would. It depends on the intricacies, I think, of the case, but I think personally I would, yeah. What do you do if the doctor says that you what does that say? Can report on my behalf. Oh, yeah. So you want to encourage him to be involved in it as much as you can, because with doctors, you have a responsibility to take action against anything that undermines public confidence in the profession. So it's good practice for him to, to practice doing that. Okay, guys, we're going to be back in 2 weeks today with Dr. Luna. If you've got any requests for any topics, let us know. Teaching. Oh, okay, yeah. Have you read my notes on teaching?
Yeah, I have, but I find it really like difficult to approach, because it's not that difficult actually. It's just that how to cover so much in such less time.
Yeah.
So maybe time management will be difficult. That.
Yeah, we could do teaching, yeah, for sure. Yep. Okay, guys, take care. Thank you, Dr. Sherina, again for volunteering. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Dr. Hashim.
Take care, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.